Hello everyone, welcome to today's video. And today's video we will be covering some of the basic important concepts in immune system. We'll be talking about the overview of the host resistance. Further, what we'll do, we'll also try to understand the innate and adaptive immune system. We will differentiate specifically between the innate immune system and adaptive immune system. All right, without any delay, let's understand the concept. Let's start with the topic, which is overview of host resistance. So we are talking about immune system. We are talking about immunity. So that is what we will be covering. And I'm going to start with, creating those nasty pathogens. This is the bacteria, and you do have viruses also, and all these pathogens, including you also have helminths, worms that are there to actually hurt you. And these organisms, they require host. They require host system, and the host body is exposed to these microbes all the time, and they are targeting the host. So we are exposed to these microbes, and further, what they do is they try to get the nutrients. So that's very, very important point. So let me show you right over here. They need nutrients from the host because of the nutrition. They can survive, they can proliferate. All those points are really important. Plus, they also produce toxins. And these toxins, again, try to kill our cells and try to get nutrition from those cells. Finally, when the infection is successfully established, and they are able to, control the host, that is the condition we call disease, right? So if we talk about the first requirement, which is breaching the barrier breaching. And in the barrier, we have multiple barriers in our body. We have, let's say we have skin. So I'm gonna write it down over here. So we have skin, and then we have mucus. It's very, very important layer. Then we have enzymes that are able to degrade these microbes. And our body secrete all those things, right? But there are two important things these specific barriers they does. One is this. Let's say this is the bacteria, and bacteria is trying to attach to the skin. So attachment layer is basically target. As you can see over here, this is the bacteria is trying to attach to the skin. But these important barriers, they try to block that attachment. And the second point is they try to kill the bacteria also. The killing of the bacteria is also really important. So these main barriers, they try to target the bacteria for these. So next is, most pathogens, they fail to cross these barriers because that is the barrier is very, very difficult to actually cross, right? So the next point is how they enter inside the body. So how they are able to enter inside the body. It can happen because of the many reasons. There can be cut, there can be destruction of these barriers. So if that happens, they can get entry inside the tissue. And if the tissue, and let me draw the tissue right over here. And as you can see over here, this is the tissue. It's basically a group of cells, and these are the tiny microbes, and now they are able to penetrate inside the tissue. And because of that, they're able to get the nutrition. They're able to penetrate the barrier. So let me write it down: penetrate barrier. And now they have access to nutrients. They can actually get the nutrient out. And at this particular point, now immune system has to activate. So the host defense system is going to activate. So that's very, very important, where the immunity becomes functional. Now we're going to talk about immune system overview. We're going to talk about what immunity is, what are the different types of immunities we have. First, and let's divide the immunity into two different types. So you have two different main types. One is non-specific immunity, and the second one is specific immunity. So the non word is here is really, really important. The first non-specific immunity is also known as innate immunity. The second one, which is adaptive immunity, is the specific immunity. And both of these types of immunity, they work along with each other to try to kill the the pathogenic organisms. They try to, cross that pathogens, completely try to kill the pathogen so that our body is safe from the infection. So the role is to eliminate, to kill, to suppress the pathogen. Now, if we talk about immune system, in immune system, we have different components. In immune system, we have immune cells. That's one important component. We have tissues. That another component is there. And we'll talk about in future videos also. We have organs. And that work together to actually provide us a very, very strong immune system. Their role. Now let's talk about the role. The first role is to recognize those foreign molecules. Recognition of the foreign molecules. The second one is to neutralize or to completely destroy or kill those pathogenic organisms that are trying to harm us. And if I now talk about the simple definition of immunity, let me write it down. So immunity, the simple definition of immunity, it's a specific response. The response is not just the sole response, it's a response within the cellular component. So we call it coordinated response, which can differentiate between self and non-self. This is a very, very important criteria of the immunity. It can differentiate what is our own and what is not ourself, and then it can differentiate between these two. So that's really important component. Now let's dive deep into the innate immunity and adaptive immunity. As we just talk about that, we have two different types of immunities. One is A, which is immunity, innate immunity. Second one is adaptive immunity. Now we're going to discuss that in a little bit more detail. If we talk about response time, it's really, really immediate. The response will be quick. Response will be faster when it comes to innate immunity. On the other hand, the adaptive is slow. The second point here, innate immunity work against all kind of pathogens, whether it is bacteria, whether it is fungus, virus, any kind of pathogen will be blocked by innate immunity, whether it is bacteria. So as you can see over, it can be fungus and it can be worms, helminths, and all these structures you're seeing over here. And the next is physical barriers. So physical barrier of the body, we talk about skin, we talk about mucus, we talk about antimicrobial peptides that are present in the skin, plus the antimicrobial molecules, including the peptides, including the enzymes, they make this particular barrier. We also have innate immunity cells also. But there is no memory of this particular system. So if this system activates, there will be no memory of this particular system, and the response every time will be same kind of response. But in case of adaptive immunity, it's target specific. Target specific is very, very important. Here, antigen will be there that will be targeted by our immune system. So we'll have antigen exposure. That's really important point over here. Antigen exposure will be there. The next point will be high specificity. They are very, very specific. Adaptive immunity will be activated only to those kind of antigens or pathogens where it got some response. And also memory. Adaptive immunity remembers the pathogens. And main component, let me write it down. B cells and T cells. They are the key role players in case of adaptive immunity. So these are the key role players for the adaptive immune response. So as you can see over here, what we have covered basic overview of the immune system. We started with the first slide where we have covered what is the basic overview of host resistance, what are the barriers that are available, how pathogen is able to enter inside the body, what is the function of all those barriers, what happens when pathogen gets inside the host tissue, what is the role of nutrients, and further then we discuss the overview of specific as well as non-specific immunity. We talk about component of the immune system, we talk about what is immunity in general, and then we dive deep into the mechanism of immunity, specifically innate immunity, adaptive immunity. The main point over here, innate immunity is general immunity. The second one, adaptive immunity, is specific immunity. And later on in our videos, we'll try to cover in more detailed, very, very, exam-oriented, concept-oriented, mechanism-oriented details of all these concepts. Okay, so I want you to actually go and now read about this particular topic and see if you're able to understand. So this is overview, but I'll be bringing more videos for you to actually cover this particular topic in more detail. in more depth.